Welcome, Chosen One, to this sacred summons you've answered. Imagine this. When you're locked in a chess match against a divine entity masquerading as a mere pawn, don't act shocked when the entire board flips itself over without warning. Let me echo that louder for the skeptics lurking in the shadows, thinking they've got it all figured out. You can't outsmart a spiritual game by cheating against the very force dispatched as your ultimate trial. Here's the raw truth staring you down. Most schemers never bother to do the math. Some souls waltz into your existence not to be exploited, but to be scrutinized under the cosmic lens. And when they flunk that exam spectacularly, the universe doesn't just ghost them, it overhauls their whole damn reality from the ground up. Allow me to drop a bombshell fact right here. Drawing from the depths of behavioral psychology, chronic manipulators often delude themselves into believing they're untouchable gods, until their fragile illusion of dominance backfires, igniting what's known as a narcissistic collapse, a total meltdown of their inflated self-image. But here's the twist no one's whispering about in polite circles. When you dare to toy with a chosen soul, it's not merely your ego that's pulverized. It's the very foundation of your life crumbling like a house of cards in a hurricane. Right, now as we speak, someone who fancied themselves a puppet master in your story is waking up to the harsh reality that they're not even worthy of a cameo in your epic destiny. They scheme to shatter your serenity, tarnish your reputation, and unhinge your mind with calculated precision. Yet, the game they ignited has evolved into a living entity of its own, and the endings they're enduring aren't metaphorical. They're full-blown spiritual evictions, cosmic pink slips handed down from on high. If you're pondering whether they're okay in the aftermath, well, let's put it this way. Their nights are sleepless marathons of tossing and turning. Their thoughts are a tangled mess of confusion and regret, and suddenly they're convinced Mercury's been in retrograde since the fateful day your paths crossed. Spoiler alert, this isn't some starry-eyed astrology nonsense. It's raw accountability crashing down like a tidal wave. So, buckle up tight because in this deep dive, we're plunging headfirst into the whirlwind of karmic chaos, divine retribution, and the jaw-dropping reversals that unfold when a foolhardy soul gambles with a chosen one and loses everything they've ever clung to. Let's dive in without hesitation. Number 1. They wagered against your soul, and now they're paying with their own. They figured manipulating you was harmless fun. A sprinkle of white lies here, a baited emotional hook there. Pushing your buttons, pulling your strings, disrupting your flow, then chuckling as you second-guessed yourself into oblivion. But what escaped their narrow vision was this profound reality. By targeting you, they weren't just messing with another mortal. They were betting against something holy, something untouchable. You weren't merely a human plaything in their twisted amusement park. You were a soul on a mission, armored with protection, infused with purpose, and radiating a power that transcended their limited perceptions. What they unleashed wasn't a petty misunderstanding. It was outright spiritual sabotage, a direct assault on the sacred order. And the cost for that audacity? They couldn't foresee it, couldn't wrangle it, couldn't dodge it no matter how sly they thought they were. Because once they crossed that invisible threshold, they activated a mechanism they were woefully unprepared for. The spiritual law, not some flimsy human statute or a karma quote prettied up for social media memes. This is the divine decree that realigns existence when injustice has festered unchecked for far too long. It doesn't settle for a gentle slap on the wrist. Oh no, it slams doors shut with finality, strips away every facade, and razes to the ground anything erected on deceit and control. Now, they're stacking loss upon loss like a bad gambler on a losing streak, scratching their heads, unable to connect the dots. But the truth is stark and uncomplicated. They weren't punished merely for harming you. They were held accountable for mishandling a sacred energy, for profaning what was meant to be revered. You entered their orbit not as a disposable pawn in their schemes, but as a divine test, a reflective mirror, a potential lifeline thrown into their turbulent waters. Yet, they treated your essence like a sandbox for their ego games, and now the playground's been shut down permanently. The stakes were always sky high, far beyond their comprehension. They didn't just inflict pain, they violated the cosmic blueprint, sealing their fate in that very instant. They dismissed you as overly sensitive, too forgiving, too kind-hearted to fight back. But they failed to glimpse the formidable force backing your spirit, the universal safeguards woven into your being. Harming you triggered ripples that echo through the cosmos, and now those repercussions are unfolding at breakneck speed, defying any rational explanation they might conjure. The closures manifesting in their lives aren't random flukes. They're not mere rough patches or unlucky streaks. These are spiritual verdicts, handed down with unyielding precision. The game they initiated has spiraled beyond their grasp, and the very energy they wielded to ensnare you is now flipping their world upside down. Not because you curse them in vengeance, but because divine protection doesn't mess around when it comes to the chosen. It plays for keeps, ensuring that balance is restored no matter the cost. To expand on this, consider how manipulators often operate in shadows, weaving webs of deception that feel invincible in the moment. But when that web ensnares a protected soul, it's like touching a live wire connected to the universe's power grid. The shock isn't immediate. It builds, surges, and eventually overloads their entire system. Think of historical figures or everyday stories where tyrants or bullies seemed unstoppable until they targeted someone with unseen allies. Fate, karma, or divine intervention steps in, turning their empire to dust. In your case, this isn't folklore. It's your lived reality. They've lost jobs, friends, health, or peace not as isolated events, but as a symphony of consequences orchestrated by the unseen. And the beauty of it? You didn't have to lift a finger. The universe handles its own. Number 2. They had no clue you were shielded by divine claws. They pegged you as just another mark, someone they could charm, coerce, or crush without a single repercussion echoing back. What flew under their radar was the divine clause etched into your existence, an unbreakable covenant scripted long before they ever laid eyes on you. You arrived in this world wrapped in a spiritual blanket they couldn't perceive or fathom. Boundaries encircle your life like invisible force fields, and no one crosses them without invoking severe fallout. They wandered into forbidden territory, where grace has its breaking point, assuming they were dealing with vulnerability or naivety. But in truth, they activated a divine response system that's eternally vigilant, never slumbering. You might not have retaliated as they anticipated. No explosive confrontations, no public exposures, no vengeful strikes. That quietude wasn't hollow. It was holy ground. When a chosen one holds back, the heavens take note. And when the heavens act, they don't do half measures. They dismantle the counterfeit structures, severing roots rather than pruning branches. They breached an unseen code without a whisper of awareness, dishonoring someone sent as a blessing in disguise. Now, they're confronting a cascade of losses that masquerade as coincidences, but are, in fact, cosmic corrections. Professional doors slam shut, relationships fracture without warning, and inner peace eludes them like a mirage. This isn't misfortune. It's the divine clause catching up, enforcing its terms. The irony? They had an opportunity. Had they honored you, uplifted you, or simply stepped aside, the narrative could have twisted differently, but their ego couldn't resist the temptation to probe your limits. And now that same ego, which once inflated their sense of superiority, drags them through public and private turmoil. The safeguard around your life isn't gentle when boundaries are violated. It's precise, surgical, excising the toxic with ruthless efficiency. They didn't just toy with you. They infringed on a spiritual contract, meddling with a predestined path. Such blunders always carry a price tag, one that's non-negotiable. The peril wasn't in what you appeared to be on the surface. It was in your true essence. A soul enveloped, selected, and fiercely guarded. They skimmed the divine fine print, but now they're footing the bill for every syllable, every stipulation ignored. Delving deeper, this protection isn't some abstract concept. It's akin to the stories in ancient texts where prophets or enlightened beings were untouchable, their auras repelling harm. In modern terms, it's like having a spiritual firewall that hackers underestimate until it fries their systems. Your restraint amplified this. By not engaging in their drama, You allowed the divine machinery to hum into action undisturbed. They've lost sleep over what-ifs, replaying scenarios where they could have chosen differently. But hindsight is a cruel teacher for those who ignored the signs. Number 3. The mask they donned to deceive you has fused to their face. They wore it so convincingly that even you questioned your gut instincts at times. Feigning care, support, understanding, every gesture calibrated, every word engineered. To warp your reality and hijack your emotions. It was a masterclass in performance art. For a while, they pulled it off flawlessly, embodying the victim, the ally, the lover, the steadfast friend, whatever role granted them proximity to your radiance. But here's the eternal truth about masks. The longer you cling to one, the harder it becomes to shed it without tearing your own skin. Now that facade has bonded irreversibly to their identity. They've lied so prolifically that falsehoods have morphed into their core persona. Manipulation isn't a tool anymore. It's their default mode of existence, rendering genuine connections impossible. Their self is trapped in the illusion crafted to ensnare you. They aren't pretending anymore. They've become the counterfeit character they invented. And the horror? That persona is now turning inward, devouring them from within. When someone hides behind a false face for too long, they drift from their authentic self. Their soul gets buried under strata of deceit, pride, and terror. Eventually, the mask doesn't just conceal their truth, it erodes everything beneath. That's their current hell. They're lost without the act. Vulnerability demands honesty, but they've torched every bridge to it by exploiting those around them. The charisma that once charmed crowds falls flat. The phony empathy they deployed for sympathy is now exposed as blatant manipulation by the very folks they duped. Credibility evaporates, reputations crumble in whispers rather than roars. People withdraw not from overt drama, but from an intangible unease. Their vibe feels contrived, synthetic, volatile. The mask granted fleeting power, but now it's their cage, impossible to remove without unveiling the atrocities committed to sustain it. The ultimate flip, they anticipated your breakdown, yet you've healed, grown, gained clarity while they're frozen in the fabricated self designed to dominate others. They outsmarted themselves spectacularly. Now they fool no one, not even their mirror's gaze. To elaborate, masks in psychology often represent defense mechanisms, but when weaponized for harm, they backfire like boomerangs. Think of con artists who live lies so long they forget their real names. Eventually, isolation sets in as authenticity becomes alien. In your story, this fusion means they're alienated from joy, trapped in a loop of pretense that yields only emptiness. Their social circles shrink, opportunities dry up, all because the energy they project reeks of inauthenticity. Number 4. They mocked your pain. Now they suffer without an audience. They ridiculed you at your lowest ebb, turning your breakdowns into their private entertainment, joking behind closed doors, slinging subtle digs in public, making your agony the punchline of their covert chats. To them, your suffering was weakness incarnate, your silence, a concession of defeat. They never dreamed that quiet space was a sanctuary for your healing and the drafting board for their karma. They reveled in the power of mockery, especially with an audience amplifying their ego. Gossip elevated their status. Your name lent them relevance. But now, the crowd has dispersed, the spotlight dimmed, and the stage built on your misfortune stands barren. What they overlooked was the isolation that trails those notorious for tearing down instead of building up. Their current torment is private, unshareable, not the kind that garners sympathy or likes. This pain is muted, suffocating, laced with shame that hits when they realize their utter wrongness. They can't broadcast their grief on social media, or vent regrets without confessing their sins against you. Trapped in an emotional solitary confinement, walls closing in. No applause rings out, no ears lend sympathy. The accomplices who once laughed alongside them now eye them warily, distancing or vanishing entirely. Now they grasp a brutal epiphany. Transforming your suffering into spectacle has recast theirs as a silent film. No viewers, no ovations, no exit. It's not just the ache breaking them, it's the silence they once derided. tasting it firsthand. But unlike your resilient healing, they're crumbling without anchors, grace, or light. Feeding ego on another's pain leads to a wasteland where ego offers no salvation. They watched you crawl and cackled. Now they plummet unseen, uncared for, with no one to catch them. Expanding this, mockery often stems from insecurity, projecting one's voids onto others. But karma inverts it, forcing the mocker into solitude where reflection is unavoidable. Stories abound of bullies facing comeuppance in loneliness, their laughter echoing back as hollow regret. Your pain, once their joke, now mirrors their undoing, teaching that true strength lies in empathy, not derision. Number 5. Their entire life morphs into a scene of spiritual contamination. What they once gripped with iron fists slips through fingers like sand. Spaces they dominated, deceived in, and manipulated within now constrict around them. Homes feel oppressively heavy, relationships brim with distrust and strain. Workplaces buzz with misunderstandings, betrayals, and an indelible energy they can't cleanse. This isn't randomness, it's spiritual pollution seeping in. They invested eons crafting environments for power plays, twisting truths, dictating narratives, sowing confusion seeds. But energy doesn't discriminate, it saturates its origin. The venom aimed at you now poisons every corner of their domain. Those venues for mocking you, isolating you, or turning allies against you, they're imploding. Conversations around them turn awkward, shallow. Dupes they once swayed now see through the veil. It's as if a fog lifts for everyone but them. They cling to outdated scripts that flop. Rest evades them at home. Atmospheres weigh like lead, sleep fractured. Walls that once comforted now echo every lie uttered. Relationships fray because control masquerades poorly as connection. Manipulation as foundation guarantees collapse. Even in professional or public spheres they carry an unseen burden. Folks may not know the full tale, but they sense the shift. The allure faded, words lack punch, armor reeks of desperation, because the energy dispatched rebounds, immunizing nothing they've built. The trap set for you encages them. They assumed toxic spaces yielded controllable outcomes, but energy traces back to its source. As originators of darkness, that force now dismantles all they've touched, subtly, accurately, mercilessly. To flesh this out, spiritual contamination resembles environmental pollution. What you dump comes back tainted. In metaphysical terms, it's like aura leakage, where negative intent corrupts one's field, repelling positivity. Their homes might feel haunted by guilt, jobs cursed by fallout, all self-inflicted through choices that prioritized harm over harmony. Number 6. They thought breaking you was sport. Now their mind is the arena. They believed shattering you would leave them unscathed. Lies, emotional sabotage, psychological warfare as casual hobby, testing boundaries, gauging reactions, feasting on confusion. A warped strategy to win a game you didn't know was afoot, but they never pondered the boomerang effect. Now, their psyche is hostile territory. Feigned peace vanished, pretended confidence crumbled. Jittery, anxious, questioning everything and everyone, including self. Plagued not just by guilt, but terror, of truth exploding, karma lurking, repercussions unforeseen. Silence once weaponized, against you now screams at them. Thoughts inescapable, sleep tense, replaying phantom dialogues, forecasting uncontrollable outcomes, obsessing over lost trust, overanalyzing glances, words, text pauses. Mental chaos erodes stability stealthily. Worse, helps off limits. Seeking it means confessing calculations, depths of malice. Pride bars admission, so they fake it, smiling outwardly, spiraling inwardly. Their playbook, narrative control, staying ahead, unbalancing others, now unbalances them. The war waged on your peace morphed into their inescapable mental battlefield. No strategies left, no tricks, no inner army. Game's over. Self lost in the fray. Deepening this, psychological games often mirror addiction, where the manipulator's high derives from control. When cut off, withdrawal hits hard. Paranoia, insomnia, cognitive dissonance. Like chess masters checkmated by their arrogance, They're trapped in loops of rumination, unable to escape the prison of their making. Number 7. Their karma didn't knock, it kicked the door in. Karma arrived unannounced, not with whispers or warnings, but a thunderous entry, as if pent up for ages to claim its due. Not the fluffy online version with serene quotes and chill tunes. This is life-rearranging force, flipping realities without courtesy, daring explanations they can't provide. They assume deeds against you stayed buried, unseen, uncared for. But the universe observed, remembers not just actions, but motives. The smug grins, arrogance, delight in your pain. That hubris ignited this fury. Not mere betrayal, but pride in committing it. Now, unanticipated backlashes. Opportunities evaporate, people flee, finances, reputation, supports collapse simultaneously. Nothing holds, everything shaky, cascading too swiftly to cope. This karma surges in waves, heavy, relentless, humbling. Every lie, doubt seated, backstabbing smile resurfaces literally, exposed, leaving no hideouts. Not punishment, but correction. Full reset to humble and remind, divine order isn't mockable. The twist, they expected mild fallout, guilt, minor setbacks. Instead, spiritual demolition. Door they slammed on you, ripped off hinges. Karma storms every room, upending tables, presenting receipts. This happens when playing dirty, assuming universe slumbers. It doesn't. It's patient. When it moves, merciless. Illustrating, karma's like compound interest on debt. Ignored, it balloons. Historical tyrants fell thusly. Modern manipulators face similar reckonings. Their wins were illusions. Now, reality enforces balance with iron fist. Number 8. They used you as a shield. Now they're exposed on all fronts. Attraction wasn't to you, but your aura, protection, light, peace as hideout for their shadows. Proximity granted unearned favor, attention, grace they dishonored. You became spiritual cover, shielding from judgment, suspicion, consequences. It worked temporarily. Association with you lent credibility, your goodness rubbing off, patience, granting passes undeserved, but they sought no growth, no change, just camouflage. Energy doesn't lie forever. Divine won't let chosen be hideouts long. Upon your withdrawal, detachment, disconnection, enough, cover lifts, raw exposure ensues. Doubt's beneficiaries question inconsistencies, charm falters. Without your light, softening edges, their energy grates, sharp, odd, uneasy. Panic sets in, replicating with others fails. Truth surfaces, sands cover. Buried dirt under your grace overflows. No hiding behind kindness, silence as shield. Exposed emotionally, socially, spiritually. Noticings abound, opportunities dwindle, connections fade. They bear own energy's weight, ugly, unimpressive, ungodly. Abused protection becomes judgment. You weren't shield, you were warning. Unheeded, no rescuers come. Broadening. This echoes parasitic relationships where one leeches light. Once host departs, parasite withers. Your energy was conduit, abusing its severed access, leaving them vulnerable to their own toxicity. Number 9. They lied about you so convincingly they believed it, until reality shattered the delusion. Narrative repeated till internalized. You as problem, unstable, disloyal. Victim pose so polished, allies rallied. Friends, family, strangers swayed by fluidity, emotion. They thought narrative control equaled truth mastery, belief equaling rightness. But truth isn't popularity contest. Quiet, steadfast. Now lies crumble. Timelines mismatch. Facts contradict. Cracks noticed. Reality reveals sans your effort through consequences. Manipulated compare notes. Masks slip. Inconsistencies scream louder than gossip. Credibility implodes. Not just favor loss, total collapse. They figured defaming elevated them, diminishing you, strengthened image. Painful realization. If your destruction propped theirs was never real. Fallout brutal. Relationships from manipulation fail. People distance from unease. If they lied about you, who else? Lies as weapons backfire. Truth overtakes slowly, publicly, relentlessly. They believed own hype. Reality never did, now clearing your name wordlessly. To expand, gaslighting often boomerangs when facts align. Like Ponzi schemes collapsing, their story unravels, isolating them in distrust's web. Number 10. They grew addicted to manipulating you and lost grip on their life. Started as game. Subtle maneuvers, emotional dead ends, mixed signals. Thrill and reactions, questioning, over-explaining, seeking approval fueled false power. Not mere harm. Importance derived from your responses. Their drug. Fed on control, learned triggers. When to ice, reel in. Sick cycle, thought masters. But addicts themselves, subtly. Your emotions their validation source. Craved control over love, respect, peace, more for relevance. Identity built around shaker of you. Reactions inflated them, masking insecurity. True. Power needs no destruction. Post-disconnection, free fall. Tactics flop, punishing silence engulfs. Nothing fills void. Others' attention, new ties, faux confidence. Fed on your energy, never theirs. Life chaotic, disordered, dull, uncontrolled. Provocation once commanded. Now void roars. Dependency unrealized, till gone. Days meaningless, interactions superficial. Control obsession morphed to unsatisfiable. Addiction. Thought owned, lost self-chasing unownable. Deeply, this mirrors psychological addiction models, where manipulators crave dopamine from dominance. Withdrawal, anxiety, emptiness, your exit cut supply, forcing confrontation with hollowness. Number 11, they cast you as enemy, but you were their final test. Misjudged profoundly, your presence misinterpreted, not harm, rivalry, dominance foe, divine checkpoint, spiritual, exam, growth or collapse chance. Ego immersed, control obsessed, light triggered, saw threat, not teacher. Attacked instead aligning, broke spirit over learning. Enemy label from revealing discomfort. Self-awareness exposed immaturity. Strength, recalled repressed, peace irked inner wars. Chose sabotage over evolution. Chance to level up, confront wounds, heal via connection. Pride overrode intuition. Power need over awareness. Crossed uncrossable line. Failing maliciously triggers chain reactions. Fallout, stuck, stagnant, cycles once, controlled. Manipulations, fail, doors shut. Not random, spiritual lockdown. Mirror you were. Tried shattering, now reflection haunts. Relationships, jobs, silences inescapable. Refused lesson repeats via loss, loneliness, breakdowns. Potential evolution became downfall. Brutal, didn't have to be, not enemy. Opportunity, took light. As challenge, left with self-created dark. Elaborating tests in spiritual journeys often appear as people. Failing with malice invites amplified lessons, like school repeating grades till passed. Number 12. They underestimated abusing sacred energy's cost. Not misuse, attempted theft. Tapped light sands honoring source. Kindness manipulable. Peace divertible. Empathy twistable. Energy not ordinary, sacred, divinely intended, law protected. Forces unnamed, not kind person, walked holy. Presence clarified, words healed, silence weighted. Treated sans reverence, used as leverage. Wanted benefit sans respect. Shine sans boundaries, drain sans reciprocation. Error, spiritual energy, not free take. Currency, tracked. Who, what, why. Deeds not emotional manipulation, spiritual fraud. Faked connection, vulnerability, giving while taking. Invisible realm recorded, not people, gossip, but balance, truth, justice laws. Energy demands repayment. High interest. Breakdowns from divine disallowance of sacred exploitation. Peace disturbed. Luck dries. Relations empty. External fills fail. Stolen source cut. Exposed. Underestimated non-dirty fight. Pure love. Love sacred. Generational power. Tide greater. Discover taking sans permissions fate. Not revenge. Bitterness. Balance. System recovers every stolen drop. To enrich. Sacred energy akin to mana in myths. Abuse invites curse. Your essence, divine linked, demands reverence. Violation invokes cosmic audit. Number 13. They didn't just lose you. They lost access to a realm they'll never enter again. Not mere presence, spiritual dimension you offered. Elevation, not connection. Peace trailed you internally. Opportunities aligned via higher realms. Brought favor, alignment, clarity, acceleration. Respected not, took granted, ordinary. Busy manipulating, missed miracle. Not comforter. Bridge, from stuck life to called self. Bridge not cheap, spiritual responsibility. Treated replaceable, luck, happenstance, not graced. Post-departure, shift undeniable. Peace gone, ease fled, doors closed. Glow borrowed, not owned. Basked in light, profited alignment, accessed locked rooms via you. Access point, things flowed through you. Realm sealed. Affirmations, substitutes fail. Vibration unresponsive. Door opened by your frequency, not charm, now unrecognized. Not bitterness, spiritual doors energy responsive, not excuses. Lost not you. Divine connection via prayers, clarity via listening, protection trailing. Access unreopens post disrespect, not same way person. Thought left person, quit rarest. Portal, human gateway to untouchable realms, expanding. Realms like quantum fields, your frequency key. Abuse locks out, leaving them in lower vibrations, yearning unattainable elevation. Number 14. Your restraint wasn't weakness, it was their last mercy. Silence seen as surrender. No reaction, exposure, retaliation, thought outplayed. But restraint power, not fear. Universe held breath. Silence not permission. Last redemption chance pre-greater intervention. Knew deeds, saw manipulation, felt betrayal, bore lies. Held back not inability, knew above hands. Silence not weakness, mercy possible. Divine awaited accountability, took. Grace as victory, celebrated unfinished war, your peace as loss. Restraint their final protection, post-expiration, not rain, flood. Coming not vengeance, balance, no favorites, cares truth only. Deeds, methods, pride reached spiritual expiration. Consequences unleashed, unstoppable. Denial, manipulation, charm futile. Private repentance chance squandered, ignored, minimized pain, validated false story. Pride sealed fate, mocked silence now unfleeable judgment. Not wished, divine law. Acts, silence grace, flown. Received time, wasted. Correction commences, unhalting, greatest error. Confused divine restraint with absence. Thought delay meant none. Silence submission, grace weakness, departure insignificant. But you divine checkpoint, sacred mirror, final test. Post-withdrawal, mocked system settles scores. Tactics return, not vengeance, denied balance. Buried, energy resurfaces, price ego can't pay. Loss not presence, divine current through you. Frequency taken luck, charm, coincidence. Face grace wasted, sacred exploited. Test failed arrogantly. Warning pre-collapse, buoy pre-fall. Door sealed, system proceeds. Left with choices wait. Once powerful, now quicksand. Don't mourn silence, question distance, regret kindness. Did part, appeared light in shadow chooser's life. Though enemy labeled, last evolution invite. Invitation expired. Consequences begin. If this resonates, confirms soul knowing, don't hoard. Like, comment, share with silent spiritual warrior needing vocal truth. Subscribe, bell on, miss no message, not content, Clarity. Building tribe. Seeing beyond surface. Thanks for being here.